Rotherham boss Paul Warne is set to drop from the Championship down to League One and take over as Derby County boss. Here's my reaction. Okay, we are mid-story on this. No official announcements at time of recording here, but we're at the point where a lot of respected in-the-know journalists have put their neck on the line to say this is a done deal. And by the time you're watching this, it may have completed. You can get your thoughts in now via the comments. So you can wait till I've had my say and get involved at the end. Let's start with Rotherham, where Warne is somewhat of a club legend. He had 2 spells there as a player, and this is a theme, got promoted twice in that amazing run under Ronnie Moore. Warne took over Rotherham as manager, caretaker manager, in a complete mess. They were destined for relegation as the worst team in Championship history in 2016-17. He converted from caretaker to permanent boss, won promotion from League One at the first go, beating Shrewsbury in the playoffs. I was there. Rotherham were relegated then in 2018-19 from the Championship in 22nd spot. A few caveats though in Warne's defence. They had the lowest average attendance, the lowest wage, made a profit, and this, in my humble opinion, is the strongest year of the division since I've been covering it. When the music stopped for COVID in 2019-20, Rotherham was second in the League One table and promoted again. But back down they went in that behind closed doors season in 2021. They were much closer this time, conceding an 88th minute equaliser on the final day that ultimately sent them down. Warne then took a fair bit of time to decide whether he was going to come back and have another bash after that relegation. He did, and go figure, he was promoted again from League One for the 3rd time as Rotherham manager last season, with the division boasting this absurdly high winning rate from pretty much the entire top 10 during those closing months. So we're back in the Championship, and Warne's stock right now is massively high despite selling key players, Smith and Ehekwa, who also dropped the division to go to Sheffield Wednesday. Rotherham are 8th in the table. They've got a superb home record, and given they were one of the teams to miss out on a visit to Coventry due to those pitch issues, they're actually 5th in terms of points per game. So why indeed would a manager drop from 8th in the Championship to 7th in League One and down to Derby County? We've seen other managers do this and drop a division. Nigel Atkins, Scunthorpe to Southampton, Simon Grace and Blackpool to Leeds, Paul Cook, Chesterfield to Pompey, Derek Adams, Morecambe to Bradford, Dave Challoner, Hartlepool to Stockport. See if you can see the pattern there. I'll try and answer that one right after I tell you though about the One Football app that you can download absolutely free via the link in the description. That's right. Don't go via the App Store. Go via the link down there. You're going to find all manner of stats and news and info on all manner of leagues all around Europe. You can track Warne's old club Rotherham or his new club Derby, or head over to Italy where you can watch Serie A highlights on the app and one selected Saturday night Serie A match for free. That's One Football. Get downloading via that link down there in the description. Before we try and analyse why Paul Warne would move down a division, it should be said that he is not your normal football manager. I've met him a few times. In fact, he's almost cultivated a character presenting himself as the exact opposite to this hyper-serious, media-trained, ultra-driven boss. Perhaps he's just completely being himself, or this sort of self-deprecating approach has served him well, given the various struggles that have mirrored the various successes at the New York Stadium. And do not for 1 minute think that's me saying this guy isn't a serious football manager. He is, and he's a serial League One promotion winner, and that's why Derby have stepped in to take him to Pride Park. Okay, here goes. We're going to talk about club size. Now, warning in advance, people can really frankly turn into pricks quite quickly and tend to get either very defensive and snowflakey, or on the other extreme, become very arrogant and demeaning when we talk about club size. If you want to be like that in the comments, fill your boots. Just know it's not a good look. And sometimes we just need to tell the truth and accept the world as it is and say that certain clubs, if they are run competently, may have a bigger ceiling than others due to the size of fan base and the potential for growth. Now here, we obviously have an example of a manager moving from one of the most competently run clubs in the country, being Rotherham, who never overspend, always punch their weight, don't breach their wage bill, and probably the least competent in Darby, who spent most of last season in administration. And their previous owner spent most of the past few years arguing with the EFL about various things. But look, all allegiances aside, I think everyone, truthfully, knows that Darby's infrastructure and fan base makes their potential ceiling possibly higher than Rotherham's. Not hating, just stating. So, if there's a probable higher ceiling if competence is reached, there's also the likelihood of a bit of a pay bump for Paul Warne. Although, unless anyone can show me 2 contracts and some bank statements, then we're all speculating, don't know that for certain, even if it's highly likely. It does also feel like a change of scenery might be an important issue here. As I alluded to earlier in the video, it did take Warne a fair while to kind of recover from that most recent Championship relegation and commit to having another go in League One. And at times, he did come across a little, if you'll excuse the pun, worn out, trying to hype up a club that in financial terms, particularly at Championship level, is somewhat of a David amongst Goliaths. I'm fascinated to see what we get style and philosophy-wise. Wayne Rooney and latterly Liam Rosenior, who was interim manager and is apparently staying on the staff, they cultivated a quite methodical, fairly slow-paced side who were decent defensively last season, but it did lack character in those away games during that relegation. Warne's Rotherham teams have certainly not lacked character and always run like madmen in midfield. They've leveraged size and set plays and been very, very well organised. Those ideas will be new at Derby, but the evidence says overwhelmingly they've worked for Paul Warne in League One. Now, to the uninitiated, a club of Derby's size relative to the division they're in, plus a manager who always gets promoted from said division, looks like a guaranteed winner. But as an Ipswich fan, and I'm sure Sunderland, Sheffield United, Leeds, Sheffield Wednesday, Pompey fans will all join me in saying there are no guaranteed winners in League One. You have to be better, not just bigger. For Rotherham, it feels like we are massively and overwhelmingly in hard act to follow territory for whoever is going to come in. We often see managers who have long runs at clubs. They become so heavily ingrained in everything around the club that a drop-off can be quite hard to avoid. Couple this with the fact that Rotherham are already flying high. Maybe they would have dropped off a little bit under Warne, indeed. Plus this normal Championship financial inequality argument. And this does become a pretty hard job for whoever comes in and a really important selection for whoever the new Rotherham manager is going to be. Let me know what you think in the comments. Who next for Rotherham and how will Paul Warne go at Derby? If you think I waffle too much here, you can find short Benjamin Bloom football channel clips over on TikTok, Facebook and Instagram, or stay right here if you don't think I wobble on YouTube and check out the Will Your Team Be Higher or Lower by the World Cup series. You can click here for the Premier League edition and here for the Championship edition.